in our chat. So it's Martin Luther King Day. It's a holiday. Everything is going well. So Anna's going to shoot some questions at me, and we'll go take it from there.
Hi, Sammy.
Hi.
A lot of people are asking, how are you doing today? How you feeling? How was your weekend? What'd you do?
I'm doing good. We had a good weekend. You know, I have people down with us. We have an Airbnb, and we're all together working on different projects and different things. So instead of me putting them up in a hotel, I put them up I rent an Airbnb, and we're all together. We eat together at the end of the day or take breaks. It's much better than being in a hotel. So a little more expensive, but that's okay.
Nice. So we have a question. This is kind of a Bronx Tale quote. Thomas Hanan is asking, is it better to be feared or to be loved?
I think it's a combination. You know, they said that years ago, they said it's extremely hard to be feared, loved, and liked and respected all at the same time. It takes a talent for that. But fear is just as important as loved. Because without fear, people won't respect you. People will do stupid things with you. So you need the combination, I think. It's not just fear or love. I think it's a combination, to be truthful.
Thank you, Sammy. McNoll Blessed is asking, Sammy, would you be able to do a video on the Jimmy Burke crew from the movie Goodfellas, written by Nick Pileggi?
Nick Pileggi is a friend of mine. Now we became very friendly, and he did a great job on that. I knew that crew. I really didn't have any interaction with them. They were by the airport. They had connections, and they would rob trucks and stuff from the airport. And when Paul Vario died, he was the head of that crew. Me and John Gotti went to his wake, and it was a pretty good crew.
User W3XT is asking, Sammy, please make a video about your Captain Tato Arello and tell us more about him.
Hey, the guy was a great guy. I loved him. He just reminded me so much of my father. He was the same size, height, built. And he had tremendous wisdom. He taught me so much. In business now, and even now in business, I think about things and I question, what would Tato do? He was that smart. He was good about everything. And could I have a sip of that water, please?
Thank you, Crystal.
Somebody's
Crystal with the water, with the W for the win.
Here.
So, Sammy, we have a super chat from J.B. Weld. He's asking, do you know why J. Edgar Hoover was so reluctant to acknowledge the Mafia even existed? I've heard it was because the Mafia knew he was gay, or it was to protect politicians who were connected.
It had nothing to do with him being gay. They didn't care that he was gay. It didn't matter. They had him. He was very friendly with Frank Costello, very, very close relationship. And he loved gambling, and they would fix races, and they would give him a tip what horse was going to win. They had a very, very strong relationship with him. It had nothing to do with him being gay. They knew he was gay, but it didn't matter. You know, in other words, people would say they would hang that over his head. Nobody did that. I don't think anybody cared about him being gay or straight. The point was that they had a relationship with him, a strong relationship with him. They respected him. He respected them. So they loved him. And it had nothing to do with being gay, that they were blackmailing him. That's all bullshit. He would destroy you in 2 seconds flat if he even tried to pull shit like that. So it had nothing to do with that.
Thank you, Sammy. Super chat from Big G484. Sammy, you were with my dad in the Army back in the day.
Wow. I mean, that's a long time ago. I don't know who he is, but that's a great thing. I was in the Army from 1964 to 1966, and I got out with an honorable discharge. It was during the Vietnam War. It was a great time. I'm not sure exactly which guy was your father, but I was with a lot of guys from, New York area, the East Coast, and it was a great time, and I had a lot of great friends. I'm sure your father, I would have loved them probably, because we stood close, the guys from New York, and we were all close friends and hung out. When you're a kid and you're torn away from your home on the draft, I got drafted, most guys got drafted, and you're way down south, and we hung together real tight. So I was probably a good friend with your father.
How old were you when you went into the Army, Sammy?
Me, I was 19 years old when I got drafted, and I came out, I was 21 years old.
Nice. How was your first day? Can you tell us about your first day showing up to the Army to report?
Well, everybody got called down to do physical, checkups and stuff like that. So I thought when I got a draft notice, I went down, I was going to take a physical and do all that stuff and then go home and wait for the actual draft. But the war was raging, and to my surprise, that day I never even went home. I got drafted the day I went down, and that night I was on a bus going to South Carolina, Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and I was like, when I called up my mother, I said, listen, I'm not coming home, I'm drafted. She said, get home. So I said, here, talk to the sergeant. I gave her the phone, and then I talked to her, and she said, be careful, all of that stuff. But I went, I was very surprised by that.
That's crazy. That's awesome. Peter Tikhonovic is saying in the super chat donation, here's my envelope, Sammy, right on time.
Wow, great thing, Peter. I appreciate it.
No question. Chris Thomas in your super chat, any thoughts on the recent comments from, we're going to skip that, Chris Thomas. No drama here. JB Weld again, can the Mafia work without Italian neighborhoods? The old neighborhoods are changing a lot.
I haven't been to New York in a long time, a lot of years. And I still know a lot of people from there, and they said it changed a lot. Now, I don't think it's just because of the Italians, the Mafia, the groups. I think all of society's changed a lot. And but I noticed streets, people would say that now. I even talked to law enforcement who say the streets were safer back then, actually. Because the Mafia wouldn't allow certain things to happen. We always felt like this is our neighborhood, and you just can't come in and do certain things.
Nice. Thank you, Sammy. Patrick in the super chat is asking you, does the Mexican drug cartels do business with the five families?
I don't know of them actually doing business with the mob. The drugs years ago didn't come in from cartels. It came in through Canada. It came in from France, from Italy. It even at one point it came from Colombians, not Mexicans. It came in from the Colombians. There was groups there that would do the cocaine and stuff like that. So I don't remember ever hearing too much about the cartels. There was always stuff coming in, but they didn't have certain drugs. They became more sophisticated through the years, and they were getting stuff. But they even had to get cocaine. I believe they used to get the cocaine from Colombia. And then they would sneak it through the border or whatever they did. But the cartels became very, very powerful through the years, like they are now. But they weren't I don't think that's strong back then.
Thank you, Sammy. New student in your super chat with a great donation. What was a tougher initiation, going through boot camp or qualifying for the mob?
I don't know. They were two different, completely different things. I was 19 years old. I was in tremendous shape when I got drafted. So the boot camp, it wasn't that hard on me. If you were heavy and you were not in shape, I mean, it was murder for some guys. But I was in tremendous shape. It didn't bother me all that much. It was almost like going to the gym and working out. It was learning how to shoot rifles and hand grenades, throwing them at all these different times, doing these different things. It was actually interesting. The Mafia, I was already older, seasoned, and I understood the Mafia growing up in that neighborhood. It wasn't tough. To me, they were like, idols. So going into the Mafia wasn't a job to me. It was like something I couldn't even believe. It was a great thing for me.
Nice. Thank you, Sammy. Question from Amina23. Wasn't there an F. Lee Bailey article about the Gotti tapes? What do you know about that?
Well, I'm glad that came up. What happened is that I had told the story many, many times about John Gotti, talking about me taking the fall in the case and so on and so forth. And I got a couple of people that are a little cranky, saying they don't believe it, they think I'm lying, even accusing me of lying. I usually put that on the side, but I want to say this, that one day I was here, and that was, I think, in 2020 or 21, and Jerry Capisi wrote an article. He called me up, and he said, Sammy, you're not going to believe what just happened. And I said, what happened? He said, I just did an interview with F. Lee Bailey, who's a major, major lawyer. He was a lawyer on the who? O.J. Simpson case. Yeah. And he has this article, and when we lost our lawyers, we wanted to replace them with different lawyers. John called F. Lee Bailey, who was an enormous lawyer, in, and I remember the meeting, I was there, and F. Lee Bailey told us, John, I'm going to represent you. You can't beat the case. This is your voice. You're on tape admitting to murders and all kinds of things. The thing I can do is maybe talk about getting a plea to reduce sentence and plead guilty and so on and so forth. And John told him, he said, no. I got an idea how I could beat this case. And F. Lee Bailey told him, how? How could you beat it? He says, I'm going to throw Sammy and Frankie LaCasio under the bus. The tapes sound bad about me talking about Sammy, and I'm going to have the lawyers throw the weight on him, and I could go free. So I said, he said that in an interview? He said, yes, he did. Jerry Capisi said to him, why didn't you go back? After the meeting, he said, I wouldn't do that. I'm not a lawyer who would do that to anybody. He says, I seen, Sammy's face. Hearing this, I seen he was disturbed. He didn't say anything, but he was disturbed, and I would not take part in something like this. Now, he wrote this article in
2021.
2021 in April?
April, yeah, right.
In April, exactly. I think April 21st, 2021, and anybody could read it. It was a Jerry Capisi article, and it was a story. Now, that was insane. I mean, I didn't even get along with F. Lee Bailey, and vice versa. So it's not that he liked me or anything. He told the truth, which verified, Jerry Capisi said, Sammy, he almost verified word for word what you were saying years ago. And what people are saying that's not true now. And I don't answer like these people who are saying things about me now. You know, when you get up on top, people get jealous. And they want to fuck with you and thinking that I will answer back. And what's their purpose? So that my followers could listen to their bullshit and they could get more hits and more subscribers. I mean, that's about as scummy as it gets. So I want to answer, but I think about it and I'm saying I'm going to feed right into them by answering. So a lot of these questions and a lot of people who say things one way or another about me, I'm not going to feed into it. And I'm not going to answer these things. So I'm sure I'm going to get some questions about them from time to time. All I could tell you is you go back in my history, look at everything I said and did. Nothing has been denied by the state organized crime police, the FBI. Many, many, many people cooperated after me. I've been in prisons 22 years. Not one person in prison came out saying anything negative about me. And watch, I'll open the door like 20 guys will start bullshitting about me. But I doubt it. So I'm not going to answer these people. That's exactly what they want. I want to answer, you know, I some things I don't like that people say. But I'm just not going to give them the right time of day. The people who are doing that, and you could see it. In other words, you don't hear me bad-mouthing people. I mean, I'll say the truth. Whatever it is sometimes. And I don't go overboard. I don't knock people. Whatever they're doing, they have a show. They use their own show. They do their own thing. They want to tell the truth. They tell the truth. They want to lie. You know, a lot of times I could point that out. I don't. It's none of my business. You want to listen to them, you listen to them. My people listen to me. I think my people know how I talk. I didn't start this yesterday. I'm here a couple of years now doing this. And I'm also doing other things which must get them wild with, you know, wanting to say something or do something. So that's where I stand, and I'm glad that question came out.
Success is the best revenge, Sammy?
Yep, absolutely. And you know what they say, when people emulate you or do things and, you know, or knock you or do whatever they're doing, they're envious of what you're doing. So you must be doing the right thing. So that's the way I look at it.
That's awesome. I think that's such a testament to that. Like you said, FBI, retired FBI, federally appointed Bob Hood, the ADX Supermax warden, and like you just got the cufflinks last week from the retired DEA agent, Jerry Capisci with Gangland News, who's been doing this for a minute, that has all the tells and has all the inside sources, is confirming everything you say.
Just about. You know, he comes out with his stories. Jerry Capisci is a great guy in a way. Listen, he's a reporter. He's not one of us. He's a reporter. He'll blast you if you did the wrong thing or you lie. He'll blast judges, prosecutors. He'll tell the truth. That's one thing I always liked about Jerry Capisci. Even if he writes something and makes a mistake, the next week he's writing and apologizing and straightening it out. You know, he's a man of his word, and I always respected that about him. And I got to know him. I like him. We're about the same age. I know he looks a lot older than me, but now he's going to get mad at me.
I think it's great too, Sammy, that, you know, I see a lot of emails coming into the office about you being a mentor to this new generation of men coming up, and do they glamorize the gangster life? Do they do this? What should they do with their life? They got, you know, they're young and married and have young kids and they're starting their families, and it's such a motivation and mentorship to these younger generation of men that don't need to do all the crazy stuff. You know, just being a man is something different to you today.
Yeah, listen, being a man's man is a good husband, a good father, going to work, working, being a good son to your mother, your father, no matter how old you get. And matter of fact, the older you get, your mother, your father are going to disappear. Enjoy them while they're here. Enjoy your life. And you don't have to do crazy shit to be a man. A man's man does so many good things. I mean, like I said, a good husband, a good father. That's a man's man to me. You don't have to be a tough guy. You don't have to do any of that bullshit. But it's a job. It's a job in itself, and it carries weight. It's not easy to be a good husband sometimes. Sometimes you want to, you might be mad. Be a fucking man. Keep your hands in your pocket. You could argue. Be a good father. Take your kids. Don't sit back and have a fucking beer, sit back or go do bullshit. Take your kids fishing. Hang out. Take your little daughter to a roller skating ring or something. Enjoy them. It's a lot later than you think. Time goes by real quick. And you want to turn around and say, I wish I did this, or I wish I did that. Do these things. And you won't have to, I think back about my father. I wish I would have went to a few baseball games with him, or fishing with him a few more times. I can't. It's over. It's done. So a man's man is not just a gangster. It's all about life in general.
Do you remember some words of wisdom from your dad?
My father always gave me, he was a legitimate man and always gave me words of wisdom and advice, wanted me to do the right thing. I was just a young kid. I was dyslexic, so I wound up in a gang, from a gang to the military, out of the military into the gang and into the Mafia, and I was always in and out of trouble. But I remember one thing. My father never stopped loving me, or my mother. And it broke their heart. I know that now. I remember what it did to them. It hurt them. They didn't hate me. It hurt them to see that I took the wrong path in certain ways. And I think about it now, and I wish I could have been a better son. But like I said, time goes by, and when those things are gone, they're gone forever.
I think it's a testament as well to what I see is you talk to your children every day. You talk to Deb, you talk to ex-wife every day. The respect that is given to you, how close everybody in your family is with you. I think it speaks volumes of the man you were in their lives and are in their lives.
Well, I do. I'm in touch with my family every single day. I got a granddaughter in New York, and I talk to her not every day, but a couple times a week for sure. And my daughter's in New York now doing some things. She opened up a spa in New Jersey. And my daughter's got a license for doing this esthetician stuff in Arizona here, in New York, and in New Jersey. So she's really qualified. She loves doing what she's doing. She was a producer, so she does other things. But she opened up it's Bella Vita or something like that in Jersey. So if you're out in Jersey, look her up, mention my name, and she'll take care of you. She'll take care of you even if you don't mention my name. She's good like that. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you, Sammy. Dylan Ironside in your super chat. Hey, Sammy, any stories about the Flores twins? They say you played a huge role in their decision to change their own lives.
That's the twins that I was in prison with them. They cooperated against Chapo. I think they were the main suppliers who smuggled the drugs to them. They were dealing in all over the place, Chicago, New York, different states. But I was pretty friendly with them in jail. We had a couple of little falling outs while we did time. I believe they're out now. I think they're doing some things now themselves, podcasts or something I heard. But I'm not in any way involved in changing their lives. They had already changed their lives. They walked away. They cooperated. I met them in prison. Matter of fact, they're so identical that I used to have to pull down one of their shirts to see one had a tattoo on his neck, the other one didn't. I mean, that's how much they looked alike. Wow. Yeah. So, yeah, I really didn't have anything to do with changing their lives.
Thank you, Sammy. El Gato, in your super chat, do real old school style friendships exist this day and age?
I think they do. I think you have to work at it. It's a little harder in this day and age. You know, years ago, you'd come out of a neighborhood, you'd grow up, you'd stay half of your life in that neighborhood. So not only your family was there, but your neighbors and your friends, parents, you got to know them all. So it was more community oriented. It's not that way now. But if you work at friends and stuff, I mean, you can have good friends. I got a great fucking team I put together, and we're working together great. And it's not just working together great. I mean, we enjoy, like I said, we have the Airbnb. After we're working, we'll sit down, we'll cook, we'll joke, we'll laugh. So it depends on what you want in life. You know, there's some guys who have a corporation and they're done for the day. They walk away from the workers and it's over. I don't do that. So I have a different relationship. It's what you make in life yourself, what you want to be. Do you want friends? You want to be a warm person? You want to be a cold person? You want to be greedy? You could be whatever you want to be. But you could have good relationships till today.
That's great, Sammy. Thank you. ASU Hottie 2023 is asking, is it true that you have a great singing voice? Can you give us a little something?
No, I'm not going to give you nothing. I'm not going to sing. Yeah, you'd have to be in the shower with me to hear my voice because that's the only time I sing. So, Hottie, if you want to come and see me, we're going to go in the shower and I'll sing a little bit for you.
Good answer, Sammy. Seen a couple of comments come through and they're asking, any stories about Alley Boy? Please share.
I go by the Alley Boy. I mean, he was the man. I mean, I loved him. He was my gombada. There's so many things we did together. I put out a lot of stories about him, and you know, I put them out on my videos and stuff like that. You know, we were like glue. We you know, if you had trouble with one of us, you had trouble with both of us. I mean, and we just recognized one another. We were able to read each other's body language and everything. You know, when I told some story about we were in a bar one night with the owner, we were gambling. The guy took my money and put it on his stack, and long story short, I was amazed. I looked at the guy, and I looked past him, and Alley Boy looked at me and just gave me, here we go again. So we were able to just read each other, and we were just great together. I'm still in touch with his children till today. Alley Boy has passed a long time ago. And Mama Leslie is his daughter, and she's now, you know, married. She has children. She has grandchildren now. So I'm still friendly with him. I had a very close friend, Joe Vitale. I know his son. His son is a great kid. He grew up to be a great kid. I know his father would be super proud of, you know, what he's become. So I'm in touch with a lot of people, and some of them, their families and things like that, which is a beautiful thing. It is.
That's beautiful, Sammy. So you have about 1,200 people in your chat active right now, but can you tell them to hit that like button? Come on, guys, what's going on?
Yeah, guys, if you enjoy this type of stuff, hit the like button, subscribe. It's important. And we're going to have this, you know, every week. And we're even doing it on Patreon now. It's like it's the same thing. You could ask your questions on Patreon, and I'll answer them. And so we're doing it over there too. It's a different audience. different questions. Maybe I could answer it a little different. You know, you got to be careful how you answer certain questions. So on my actual website, when we're redoing the whole website, it'll come out on March really, really strong. And over there, I'll be able to talk like the old Sammy talks. Sometimes I'm not handcuffed over there. So we'll talk about that when it happens.
Nice. Thank you, Sammy. Tom Shipman in your super chat. Sammy, how does a man named Quack get made, much less a capo? Was he a good earner other than the drugs? He sounded like a liability.
He was. He was John Gotti's childhood friend. They grew up together. He was a tough guy. There's no question about it. He was a tough guy, but he couldn't shut up. He just talked all the time. Got caught on tapes all over the place, like he had a license. He wasn't too smart. Matter of fact, John joked one day and said, listen, you could open up the phone book, turn to any page, call a number, and I guarantee you, Angelo, which is his name, Angelo Ruggiero, Quack is talking with them. So he just overtalked and did some stupid shit. He wasn't the brightest guy in the world, and he was a little greedy. And, I'll give you an example. We were talking, we were on Bath Avenue, me and Frankie the Chico and Angelo, Quack. And somebody robbed the radio out of his car. Now, while we're talking about it, some kid passes by, a couple of kids in the car, and they yell, you want to buy a radio? They were selling a radio. So Angelo says, that's mine. And we go across. As we go across, he hit the kid. Me and Frankie said, whoa, how do you know that this is the same radio, bro? But it wasn't the same radio. Hit this kid for nothing. He was just a gorilla type of guy, bully type of guy. And at the end, he got cancer. He died. John didn't even want to go to his funeral. I had to convince John, I know how you feel, bro, but you have to go. Everybody knows you grew up from childhood. If you don't go, a lot of people are going to go because they think he's your best friend. If you don't go, it's going to look horrible for you and for him. Let's go. What's the difference? And I talked him into going, and we went. I went with him, with a few guys in my crew.
Nice. Thank you, Sammy. Patrick in the super chat. Sammy, do you think that today's New York is a different place than it was back then when you and the Gambino family were around?
Oh, it's totally different. It's absolutely totally different. It's I understand the crime rate is enormous back there. I know my daughter tells me they're afraid to take a train. And my granddaughter is not even allowed to go on a train. They drive, and they're careful about how they move around. This is not, when I grew up, New York wasn't like that at all. You could take a train, you could drive around, you could do what you want. You could have walked anywhere, So the crime rate is through the roof. All kinds of real weird, stupid shit going on over there. And, homeless all over the place. So I don't know. It's totally different now than when I grew up. We would have never dealt with half the shit that goes on there now.
Wow. Thank you, Sammy. Betroy in your super chat is asking, hey, Sammy, ever been to Detroit? If so, did you like it? And do you have any stories?
Detroit. Now, no disrespect, man. Is that in the United States? Yeah, I guess it is.
Motor City, Sammy.
Yeah, no, I know it's in the United States. I want to break chops. But no, I've never really been there. I knew some guys from there. I don't even remember their names. I met them in a meeting one time. There was a good crew of guys from Detroit, that's for sure. Mob guys. And but I was never there. I never had any dealings in Detroit.
Thank you, Sammy. Julian Dancing Shadow 4959. Can you tell us a story about how you and Louis Molo became friends?
Yeah, well, you know, it's so we were friends so far back in time. It's hard to remember, but my Gumbada Alley boy and me, we knew him. Louis had some connections with people, and me and my Gumbada Alley boy were very, very close. So he would bring in scores and give it to us. He would say, "I got two guys who can, they're doing an armed robbery or whatever," and he brought us in. We went hunting years ago, and we were kids, even when we went hunting. So he was a hunter, I was a hunter. I don't think my Gumbada Alley boy did much hunting. So a lot of that stuff, and it's that far back. I don't remember the actual day, or month, but we went way, way back from kids. Me and Louis went hunting a lot. We would camp out in the woods. One year we went out, and we slept in a tent. Louis was crazy about hunting. I used to go to and stay in a hotel and then go hunting during the day. He wanted to sleep in a tent, and I agreed. And I'll never forget it. It got dark real early, and it was pitch black. We didn't even have light. We had a flashlight if you needed it. And I hear things, branches breaking and everything. I said, "Louis, what the fuck? Is this a bear or something?" So I pull out, I had a 38, I think I had, a pistol. I pull it out, and I pointed it at "What are you pointing?" He says, "If it's a bear, he's just going to jump on top of the tent." So now Louis got the rifle sticking out. I didn't like it. It was uncomfortable. It was cold. Bears and fucking things. It could have been a skunk or whatever it was running around in the woods, but everything's, but we did that. We did a lot of things together. And then we hooked up and were close in the mob for a long time. So it went a long ways back. Then he disappointed me in life, to be honest, and he did some stuff that was weak. I did a video about it. I really don't want to get into it right now, but there was things that he did that were a little screwed up, and he had everybody, John Gotti, Frankie the Chico, me, DB, everybody was just extremely angry at what he did. Everybody felt betrayed, and that's how he got killed. Mm-hmm. So.
Thank you, Sammy. Thank you for sharing that. That was cool. Sean Lee in your super chat. Hi, Sammy. Just want to thank you and thank you for your time and effort and what you and your team has been doing. All the best to you, all from the UK.
I appreciate it so much. There's so many people from the UK. I want to give a shout out to all of you. The list is long. There's a lot of people, a lot of names, and so and I always shout out to this young girl. I call her my girlfriend in England, but Demi Vitale, she's great, and her and her boyfriend. She's got a boyfriend, and I told you, Demi, he's a good-looking guy. They're young, they're cute. I mean, I love them. But I got so many people there from Ireland. It's crazy. So many different countries now are sending me messages, beautiful messages. I appreciate it. To everybody who's out of the country, I owe you people, and you send beautiful messages. I never really get a negative message from overseas, which it struck me one day. Only here a little bit you get some, what am I going to call them, assholes who want to give bad messages or say something negative, but never from overseas, from Israel, from all different places I get messages, beautiful messages, by the way. The more I think about it, it's a beautiful thing. And I appreciate all you people outside the country with your messages and your questions. And so.
They love you, Sammy. SNYC in the super chat. Have you held back any Donald Trump stories, and would you ever sit down with him?
I really didn't hold back stories. It's not like I know negative shit about him and I held it back. No, I never really did much with him at all. You know, I had a few things and I did a few videos about it. Would I sit down with him? Of course. I would almost, there's nobody that I wouldn't sit down with. So would I sit down with him and have a chat? Yeah, I don't know how it would go. I mean, he's a little bit of a narcissist. I don't know if we would get along. I really don't know. So, but I'm not afraid to sit down with him. I think, a lot of people don't like Trump. Let's face it. But I look back and I say, I want to put personalities aside. And when I look at politicians or a president especially, I don't care whether I like them or don't like them, or like her or don't like her. I look at what did they do. And to tell you the truth, Donald Trump did some great things. For a lot of minorities, I mean, if they're going to be honest, Black, Hispanic, Italians, he did a lot of good things for a lot of people. The country was flourishing. The country's a mess right now. So, I think he could have did two things that would have helped him. I'm going to give him this advice if he hears it. Change two words. Not I and me. Change it to us and we. We did this, not I did this, I did that. That's what hurt you. Me. It was me. The word our, like I'm on a team. I'm doing something right now. It's not me, it's us doing this. It's our team doing this. So, Donald, if you're listening to this or somebody tells you to listen to it, wake the fuck up. That's what it is in life. You seem that you really tried. I think you're a little bit of a narcissist. Get rid of that fucking attitude. You're able to do, you understood business. I think you're able to do a great job. And those two little words would have changed everything, how people perceived you.
That's awesome, Sammy. Thank you. A lot of your audience members know your love for Peaky Blinders and Thomas Shelby. Can you tell us what some similarities are between the Mafia and that TV show, Peaky Blinders, and maybe some differences?
Well, it's in a different era, a different time. It is extremely, in my opinion, it's very similar. They're rough guys. They hung out. They had respect for their own people. Women were held in high regard with them. We held women in high regard as well. I mean, we didn't have them as part of the Mafia, but, we were always involved. So I think, I watched Peaky Blinders, the whole thing. And there was times when he's facing a problem. And I looked at it and I'm saying to myself real quick, what would I do? And I came to a conclusion what I would do. 2 seconds later, he did exactly what I thought I would do. So I looked at him. He was great. I would love to have him play me in my scripted show, in this movie that I'm talking about doing, the Johnny Keys hit. I would love to have him, but he's probably very busy. I don't know if I could get him, but I'm going to try to get him. I mean, I wish he would. I mean, he just reminds me of me when he talks, the way he walks, the way he thinks, everything about him. So, but the brothers, the whole thing, I think, everything he did reminded me of the Mafia in a different group. You know, I've met other groups that where the same thing happened. I looked at them in a very similar way. There's Hispanic people, Mexicans and Puerto Ricans. I grew up mostly with Puerto Ricans. And one thing about Hispanic people, they could have gangs and they have its different mentality than we do, the Italians. But they're very family oriented like the Italians. How we conduct ourselves in the street is a little different, but family wise, they're family oriented. And I look at them in a way almost like I would look at the Peaky Blinders. I got along with a lot of Hispanic people in prison, and whether they're Mexicans or Puerto Ricans, mostly Mexicans. And, you know, the same thing. They have their organizational skills. We had ours. I know that I bumped into guys who were ABs, Aryan Brothers. And they had asked me about how we structured our thing. And I would ask them, what do you want to know? Well, Sammy, what you guys went on for years and years, hundreds of years. And you have a beautiful structure. And we would like to know. And I would talk to them openly and tell them, you know, different things. And they have their structure. Our familia is a Mexican Mafia gang. And very, very powerful in prisons. Tough gang. And again, same structure as Italian. So I could relate to them. It was easy to relate to them. I got some Mexican people working for me now. Anna is...
Orale.
Yeah, orale.
That's great, Sammy. Thank you. Gracias.
Yeah, gracias to you too.
John White in your super chat. He dropped a C-note. He dropped $100 and he wants to know, Sammy, can you tell us how Tommy DeSimone met his demise?
Tommy DeSimone was with the Lucesy family. That's what in the movie where he kills a maid guy in the bar. The guy tells him, go get your your shine box, the shoe shine box. And he comes back, he's infuriated, and they beat him up and they threw him in the trunk of a car and they stab him and shoot him and they do all kinds of things. Well, that guy they took out in real life was a made guy. It actually happened. And he was a made guy. The Gambino family was breathing down their throats because we knew. When I say we, I had no part in this thing, but we knew that where he was, the last place he was, and what happened, and through other people a little bit. We didn't know who did what because when they grabbed him, they were all alone. And we were breathing down their necks. At one point, we wanted to kill that whole crew, all of them. But I think Paul Vario understood that he did that, Tommy DeSimone, and they killed him. They told him he was going to become a made member. He walked into a room. Instead of getting made, he got killed. Just like the movie. Now, the guy, I forget his name, who was the guy who was working with Nick Pileggi. What the hell was his name? He was part of that crew.
Henry Hill.
Henry Hill, yes. Henry Hill wasn't liked by the whole crew, but Nick had told me that he had a tremendous memory. He remembered a lot of things just like I do. I have a pretty good memory. He also had a great memory. So a lot of things he told Nick Pileggi, who was writing it, was accurate. And Nick Pileggi is a type of writer that he likes writing mob movies and stuff like that, but he always goes for the truth. He wants to be, you know, there's always Hollywood involved, but he's a guy who goes for the truth. That's why his movies are great. He's a great writer. He goes for the truth. He goes for details. He looks for all of that stuff. Great, great writer. And I consider him a great friend of mine. So that's about it.
beautiful, Sammy. Michelangelo Grillo, in your super chat, Sammy, just wanted to say I love listening to your stories, and I really appreciate the hard work you and the team put into all of this. Best wishes and Happy New Year to you all.
Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it. And it does, my team puts in a lot of work, hard day. It's not easy, but they're great. A lot of people, call me up, friends of mine, and they say, Sammy, wow, you must have about 10, 12 people. I said, no. Actually, it's a small handful of 2, 3, 4 people, and we're working together. But they're really, really good people. They work and I'm increasing it now. I just got a new girl on who I knew for a while, and I'm high on her. I think she's going to be great, and I think she's going to improve us quite a bit. And I'm looking for talent as we speak.
Thank you, Sammy. Let's hype your Patreon. You can really talk raw, uncensored, uncut, without all this bullshit bureaucracy going on YouTube.
Well, I talk a lot looser on Patreon. It's a private channel, so when I'm answering some questions, I could get into, when you're asking me like political questions on Patreon, you could send me all those political questions and all of that stuff. And, you're going to get the straight up answers that sometimes you can't answer on certain places.
And there's a relaunched Patreon where there are more tiers. It's more detailed. You're going to get everything you guys have been asking for from Sammy. Is everybody hitting that like? We are up to 1,400 viewers.
By the way, Sammy, usually right now is the time we would go ahead and end the stream. If you're up for it, the chat wants you to keep on going. You think you can go another 15, 20 minutes for them?
I don't know about 15, 20 minutes, or I'm going to take a piss in my pants, but for another 10 minutes, I could do that.
There it is, 10 minutes.
Okay, Sammy, in the super chat, SNYC is asking, did John hate Danny Marino and Johnny G because their relationship with Paul?
He really had something against Danny Marino and Johnny G. He really didn't like them at all. I don't know why. I really don't know why. I know that right after Paul was killed, we were going to make Danny Marino. I had a decent relationship with him. Frankie DeChico had a better relationship with him. And we wanted him to make him a captain. And he said no in the beginning. And it was like pulling teeth to get it done. So, but he never gave us a reason why he didn't, he was slow doing it. He didn't want to do it. He just did it because me and Frankie were pretty insistent upon it. I mean, I believe Frankie told him, well, if you're not going to do it, tell us why. We're in the neighborhood. He's from Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. What did he do? If you give us a reason, then we won't bother you. But he never gave a reason. And I believe at one time, Johnny Gamarano, he was considering killing him at one point. I held that up because when I was running the construction, Johnny Gamarano was great in the construction industry, and I pulled him in close to me. There was a little beef between him and his cousin. I don't think they were really cousins, but they always grew up together. So they called each other cousins, Danny Marino and him, when Danny Marino was a captain. So when I pulled him in and I broke up that little argument and fighting between them, and I know somebody says I took him because I took him away. I didn't take him away. I just stopped that whole fighting shit. And Danny didn't care about, him helping me working with the construction. Danny had a lot of money. He could care less about that. So, wrap it?
Wrap it. We'll let you break and do your business. We don't want you to be on the brand new couch, Sammy.
All right, whatever you want to do. I thought he was going to take 10 minutes. I'm starting to grab myself. I know I have people saying, "What is he doing? He's touching himself."
That's for Patreon, Sammy.
I'm hanging on. I'm trying. I'm not touching myself. I'm hanging on. So, but listen. All right, I think it's time. So, adios, motherfuckers. See you soon.